going to take you through this. It's about 15 scriptures, but I'm going to take you through this. And then we're going to hit it hard. Amen? And the mixed multitude, why does it say mixed multitude? Mixed multitude is what? Old, young, women, children, all of them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, the melons, and the leeks, and all the onions and the garlic. Okay, so this is where the children of Israel was released. They were in the wilderness. But you see, they got set free. But yet they said, we remember. How many of us say that? We remember when we used to eat of the fish freely. How many remember when maybe, before you became a Christian, there was some things that came easier than they do right now. Doesn't it seem like that? Doesn't it seem like, the devil didn't bother me when I wasn't, when I wasn't against him. It seemed like it was a little easier. But now, it's a little bit more of a fight, isn't it? You see, because we're not of this world.
That's right.
Amen.
We're just here because God's placed us here to do a work. But I'm building my case. We're going to find out in a minute where we're going here, and you're going to get excited about some things. Amen?
Amen.
I don't hear no people back here. I get excited. See, it's not on. It don't work. I know, you just play for your pastor. That's all. Make me look bad. So what does that tell us? Number one, it tells us this about Egypt. Pharaoh controlled the fishing. Pharaoh controlled the traffic of the fishing of the sea. So what happens at that point? The children of Israel were in bondage for about 430 years. But they remember how they ate freely. All the meat, all the fish that they wanted. See, the world can give us certain things freely. But yet it holds us in bondage. How many generations went by? How many generations went by? They thought that they was fine. They was working, they was eating, and things was happening, but they was in bondage. They were in bondage. 430 years. But then when they got set free and delivered, they started to remember how they used to eat the fish freely. Pharaoh had the fishing rights. Pharaoh was the one that controlled the money. Pharaoh controlled the prosperity. Pharaoh's the one that had the abundance.
That's right.
But you see, something had to happen. Something had to switch. We got to switch control of the abundance. We got to switch the control of prosperity. We got to do something about that. You see, and Jesus already done it. But how did they get out of it? Let's go over to Exodus 7, 20 and 21. And Moses and Aaron did so. As the Lord commanded, he lifted up his rod and smote the waters that were in the river. And in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of the servants, all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood, and the fish that was in the river died. And the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. So what happened at that point? What happened when he struck the water with the rod? It killed all the fish. It didn't kill anything else. It just killed the fish. You see, at that point, right then and there, the children of Israel, the children of God, took back the fishing rights. And took it from Pharaoh. Pharaoh no longer had any right anymore.
Come on. That's right.
There was no more free fish anymore. The children of God took dominion.
That's right.
They didn't know they had it,
Come on.
but they took it. And the only way it was going to happen is if Moses struck it with his staff, with his rod, and killed the fish and turned the water to blood. And then on the next verse it says it goes on and says that it was the frogs then that came in. So he went from fishing to frogs. So the children took back the fishing rights at that point. We got it back. We got it back. Stay with me now. It's going to get better. I'm building my case.
Build it.
All right, let's go over to Nehemiah 3:3. But let me read this. Let me read as we read Nehemiah 3:3. But the fish gate did the sons of Asana build, who also laid the beams thereof, and set up the doors thereof, and the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. God's people got to build fish gates. We got to build fish gates. What it happens here in fish gates is it controls the flow. You got the flow of fishing, but you got to get somehow the fish gate for the money, for the prosperity, for plenty, for abundance to come into your church, to come into your home, to come into your business. You got to build a fish gate. You see, you might say, I don't have much right now. I don't have a whole lot right now. I got to use the mic because I'm feeling empty. I know, but man, I'm getting preachy now. This is the thing. We got to come to the place to understand we might not have a whole lot of money. I might be broke right now, but when we start to build the fish gate, we got to start building it. It doesn't matter whether we build it one brick at a time. We got to start building that fish gate. One prayer at a time. One brick at a time. In the church, one offering at a time. We got to start building somewhere. We got to take a hold so that the flow of money begins to come in to our life. Begins to come into my home. Begins to come into my business. Begins to come into the church. We got to build the fish gate. You see, Moses, when he struck it, he took back the dominion. He took back control of fishing rights. Now we got to tap in somehow and build a fish gate. Somehow, so that the money comes, so that the abundance comes. You see, I don't want just any fish coming to my church. I want the fish that God's called to come to my church. You see, there's some big fish out there. There's some fish out there that I need in my church. There's some fish out there I need in my home. There's some fish out there I need in my business. You see, I'm calling for that fish. You see, I'm taking a prophetic word and I'm throwing it out there. And I'm saying, come on. I want the fish God called. Matthew 7:7-9. I'm building my case. It'll get better. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives. And he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there whom if his son ask of bread will give him a stone? And then we're going to go on to the next verse. But listen to this. For what man, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Bread is revelation knowledge. A stone is a testimony or praise. Remember when Jesus said, if they don't praise me, the stones will? Well, I'm telling you right now, we've been giving our kids testimony. We've been giving our kids a praise report. Well, how did you get there, Daddy? How did you get that? How did you build that business? How did you do that? Well, I remember, son, when I was over here, and I didn't have much, but now look at me now. That's a praise report. We can't give them no praise report. We got to give them some bread, some revelation knowledge. We got to let them know how we got there.